The date is June 25th of 2024, and I'm staring down the western slope of the Sierra Nevada at my campsite in Kings Canyon. Hey there folks, Glenn with the almost world famous Cactus Atlas, hanging out in Kings Canyon National Park. Today we're gonna go explore and seek out some of the big trees that live in this place. I've made my coffee, I've had food, all before 6 a.m. and what's happened to our country? Nobody wakes up at sunrise anymore. You see, it's quite simple. You boil the water, and then I use a French press. So I put my coffee, which I'm drinking Peet's. That's usually my go-to these days, that Big Bang. I like that. And put a few teaspoons in there, put some boiling water on there, let it sit for a few minutes, and voila. So this morning I think I'm gonna just take the casual approach, and since it's early, I'm gonna go try to hit the most popular, what I assume is the most popular attraction in here, the General Sherman tree. Wait, General Grant tree, my bad. Sherman, I believe, is the big in Sequoia National Park, the neighboring park, about 45 minutes, an hour from here. I plan on doing the same thing tomorrow morning, getting up probably before dawn, and getting over there just to try to avoid crowds. Whether I'll be successful or not is yet to be seen, but that's a different video. Today I just wanted to start off here at the campground. Of course, getting up early, you increase your chances of seeing wildlife. My guess is if we see anything in these early morning hours, as I straighten this out, it's gonna be a deer. Saw one last night, almost hit one last night, driving back from Lodgepole, which is in Sequoia, and I got my shower there. Okay. Roadwork, expect delays. Of course. I would have it no other way. I think I may have overshot where we want to go. I'm just flying here, I'm just doing it. I guess I was talking because it's pretty dang well marked. At least going back this way. Maybe there wasn't a clear sign on the other direction. You know, I could be right. I don't see... oh, there's a deer. So you gotta pay attention back here. Come on, deer, don't be afraid. I'm not gonna eat you. Grant, so that's the campground there. So Grant Tree and Columbine. I think there's like a grove down here, and the Grant Tree I think is one of the, probably one of the more popular things, dare I say, here. Including going into the canyon, I'm sure. That's probably what I look forward to the most. These sequoia are amazing, but I really feel, maybe it's just in my head, but it's just so hard to capture them on film. I need to learn some better skills. We're still going. We got 2 more minutes to go. There's a whole series of trails back here, and I am quite surprised, or maybe I shouldn't be surprised, that I'm just not seeing anybody. Anybody! That is making me worried. Did the world just stop? Alrighty. Making our way down somewhere. Down to the bottom of what? I don't know, and I think I see there's a sequoia right there in front of you. That's a smaller one though, at least from back here. Maybe when we get right up on it. But, wow, I love these things. I see a couple in here. I think we hit the gold mine. I don't see anybody on these trails either. I see one car. I guess my fear of crowds was a little unfounded. Oh well, it pays. The early bird gets the worm, they say. Or the early bird gets the trail to his or herself. Let's go see about this Grant tree. They're all so large. Ooh, that's a good way to get your morning started. I was sitting in my truck, kind of just getting all my stuff organized to get out, and there's this older gentleman standing over here, and I think he was with his son, and he kind of walked over there, and he goes to the back of my truck and opens my back door. And I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah, I don't know. I thought he was gonna steal my stuff or whatever, but it was an innocent mistake. I think he was just a little old. But I told his son, it's all good, come on. Anyway, look at this. When you see them in the grove like this and not just individually, it gives a whole different perspective. But I'm gonna seek out this General Sherman tree before anything else. Okay, cool. So it looks like this is a loop trail. They even tell you they're recommended. Way to go. Well, they actually have guides. Oh, they charge you for those? Well, you couldn't get one if you wanted one. But anyway, this grove showcases some of the best sequoia habitat anywhere, producing some of the world's largest trees. So you need a half mile, 30 minutes. All right, let's check this out. A General Grant tree is one of the largest trees on Earth. So I guess we're not gonna see Mr. Grant until we get halfway through the trail, so about a quarter of a mile in. And you hear the birds chirping this AM. A lot of songbirds here in Kings Canyon. It's interesting too how sequoias often grow in pairs like that. Sometimes they look like they're one tree, and I mistake them for one tree when they get larger than that. And the thing I dislike the most is the only shot I really know how to do is this. When you pan up. But I want to point something out that I did a documentary on sequoia trees earlier this year, and this is a great opportunity to plug that because I give some basic facts. It's pretty short, and one of the crazy things you may not know are those branches up there are as big sometimes as entire normal pine trees. And at Trail of 100 Giants, you'll see evidence of one of those fell into the ground and stuck in it. And it's still there today, demonstrating the force that that impact created. It's no joke, but I don't think they fall regularly. And I'm sure the Park Service knows what they're doing. Oh, there's like a tunnel over there. I kind of kept the spoiler free for myself, to be honest. So to me, this isn't about education today. It's about just hanging out with the squirrels here. Hi, squirrel. I bet you get fed, but you look pretty healthy though. You don't look fat and plump. I'll go up the sequoia. Do it, you're on YouTube. You got it, you got it. Oh, look at that squirrel. Like, I guess for scale, it's not the best thing to use, but you haven't done anything in life until you stood at the base of one of these and looked up. It is so crazy. And when you come to places like this, you understand people like John Muir and why he cared so much for these. All right, I don't know if this is the appropriate time to do this, but before all the kids come out and start screaming and playing in this thing, which I would if I was a kid, let's take a walk through the center of a sequoia tree. It's almost like Belly of the Dragon, but in wood. If you guys don't know what that is, I have a recent video on that one too. And I'm sure he'll be showing you clips for comparison's sake. Holy moly. One of the best ways I find to understand the scale of these trees isn't by the standing ones. I mean, that's cool enough, but it's when they're on their side and you're kind of like at eye level with it. And in this case, inside of it. Now you get it. Now I get it. Or at Trail of 100 Giants, once again, one of the best pictures I think we took were a couple standing on one of these fallen things. I'm on its side, and that really reveals it. And you can see it's black and charred on the inside from ages, probably of wildfires, which these things have adapted to survive very well. Although there is concern for the future, as always. And of course, humans can't resist carving insignificant things that nobody cares about other than the person who carved it. sequoias, just some facts that I'm trying to remember from my own video, my own documentary, are that sequoias are the most massive, among the most, well, they are the most massive trees in the world by volume. And some would say they're the oldest, but you have to qualify that with non-clonal organism, because creosote, I think there's a 10,000-year-old creosote. I don't know if it was colony is what is the proper term. So technically other things have it beat in terms of age, but in the non-clonal sense, because I think what that means, I haven't really studied up on it. I guess, I don't know. They consider those creosote one organism, but I guess it clones itself. These are just individual standalone things that grow from pine cones. And I think that's the difference. But one pine cone can produce one of these things. There's a sign talking about the monarch, the General Grant tree, and there's this clearing here giving us our first views of what's gotta be the General Grant tree. That thing is plump at the top, unlike its younger siblings. Oh wow, and we're far away from this thing. All right, if that's it, I don't think that you could be prepared for something that big. I don't know, Trail of 100 Giants, do they have, I don't recall anything quite that large. There's some big ones there, but wow. One thing, unlike Trail of 100 Giants, this is all fenced and you cannot walk, usually like at other places, I know you can go inside the trees and stuff. Here you can't. And here's a question for maybe an expert. Help educate the audience. I've read that it's not good for people to walk at the base of these because it packs the earth down and makes it harder for water to absorb or something like that, or nutrients. Is that really true or false? And if it's true, why am I finding so many campgrounds and places like Trail of 100 Giants where it seems okay, I guess. That's where I'm confused. Maybe it's not fully understood yet or not, I don't know. But I like some science and facts on that, like a referral, a link or something of that nature would be great, if anybody knows. I'll do my own research later if I think about it. And walking in forest like this, some of these things are thousands of years old. And, walking amongst ancient beings like this, to me, it's not lost on me. There's something being in the presence of something like that, living things that were here when many of the world events that we know and study today happened. Okay, to see Grant, we want to go to the right, and there's a tree fire scar that we're supposed to be seeing, I think, here or something. Oh, look at that branch up there. General Grant, you are formidable, my friend. Wow. How many fires you may have endured. How many people, even before pioneers came here, saw this thing and wondered. Now some of the wildfires back here that I've seen and what they can do to these things, they're not invincible. And when you see something like this, it's really hard if you just, I don't know, it's hard to describe what I feel, but it's just something you just feel a duty almost to want to protect. I was walking up from the General Grant tree and coming over here. Now I'm just kind of wandering aimlessly as there's a whole sequence of trails back here. And we got some history here, the Gamlin Cabin. Looks like you may have been able to go in there once, but they have it closed off. So somebody got to live out here. Here's, I guess, uses of the cabin and some of the people that were out here. And we're talking like 1800s here. Some real Old West stuff. First thing I can see that comes to into my view are all these notches in here where, you know, they didn't have like electric saws, so they had to chop the stuff by hand. Look at that. That wood. I wonder if it's made of sequoia wood. Sequoia wood's not really good to build with, actually, though, and we're gonna learn a little bit about that at some other locations. But this is a fine specimen. I love how the moss has grown on that. Here's some good information right there, plain to see. The Gamlin Cabin was built in 1872 by Israel Gamlin, who with his brother Thomas filed a timber claim to 168 acres within Grant Grove. Imagine if they cut down the Grant tree. Anyway, there's some info for you. That's pretty cool. All right, let's continue down here. There's some other really large trees down here. I think we're circling back now, probably on this loop too. Here's a tree that was cut in 1875, and they sent a 16-foot section to Philadelphia in an exhibition. That's pretty cool. So that is a very old tree stump cut by people in the Old West. All right, that cabin was really an unexpected treat. And now we're gonna head back down this way towards the parking lot. Check out a few more of these giants and see what else is in store. I'm very grateful in life to have had an opportunity to see all of these with my own eyes. Alrighty, that was exquisite. I already used a whole battery on that. That means I got a lot of footage, so I'm trying not to make it too long, but it's gonna be tough for me on this one. All right, I got back into the vehicle and now we're heading to my next location, which we're gonna go look at stumps. I think 2 locations with stumps. Why are you taking us to see stumps? Isn't this a bit anticlimactic? Well, I think what I'm really trying to do, what I'm trying to go for is I wanted to show you the real deal, the live deal, and then I'm really just in the game here to try to find various ways, different ways to try to convey the sense of scale. And seeing pictures of some of these stumps seems to be a really good way to do it. But not only that, very soon we're going to be out of the national park and in Sequoia National Forest. And I don't know if you know what that means, but that means we are street legal to fly a drone. And I know of a tree, a very large tree, where we can actually fly our drone and get my very first drone footage, hopefully ascending a sequoia. What? A dirt road? In these parts? Oh my. Some off-roading here. I didn't know about this. We're only going a mile. And I guarantee this is not going to be bad. A little rutted though. I like when you have stuff like this because it keeps some people out. How elitist of me to say. Dude, this is awesome. I'm just pleased to drive on dirt. I got this truck. And even though this is as good as pavement to me, it's, you want to talk about a shelf. Well, it's not as steep as it actually looks at first glance. But I'm sure I could get a good roll down that thing. It's funny how like a couple years ago before I got this truck, when I was just driving small dinky cars, how something like this would have really worried me and I'd be like, oh, should I attempt it or whatever? And nowadays I'm like, whew, easy peasy. Can you camp back here too? I guess it is the national forest, so there's probably some dispersed camping back here too if you want to get away from the crowds, as evidenced by that guy, I guess. Nice job, fella. Nice job. I decided I'm using Google, which is not my usual jam. I use Onyx usually with offline maps, but I miscalculated thinking these were all paved touristy destinations, and I didn't even think to do any research. But luckily, I'm at one of the other forest roads, and I was able to get a signal here right back not far from Chicago Stump to plot a route to this thing called Stump Meadow. And I was just going back to the main road thinking that was the safe thing, but wait a second, the road is closed. So this is the one that was closed earlier, gosh dang it. So, why is she not giving me another alternate route? I wonder if we can just go back the other way or what. So that's a buzzkill. I thought I was gonna be able to do some more off-roading here. But we might have to head out to the main road, and she's trying to reroute, and this is where Google fails hard, or is in these situations like this, so. All right, actually I caught a signal right here on that ridge, and like just a second after I stopped recording, and she did reroute, and it's taking me back out to 180 East, so probably back on pavement. And then maybe we'll hook back up with another dirt road or forest road. I'd be delighted if we would. So there's a good shot of the paved road 180. You should see it straight ahead just for your perspective of how things are connecting.
In 600 feet,
see,
turn left.
See, she beat me to the punch. It sucks that other road was closed because it probably was the most efficient way to get back there. I think we're actually heading down into Kings Canyon proper, which is a different episode. There's all these overlooks, and they call it the mini Yosemite. So that probably is the next video that'll be coming out, most likely.
In the quarter mile, turn left.
But I don't want to give away or spoil any of those views. And I haven't seen it with my own eyes either, so I'm trying to keep it spoiler free, so when I go over there, you'll see the oohs and ahs on my face. I don't think we're gonna see it, so we're good. All right, right here is your left turn, and there's a sign that says Stump Meadow and the Bull Tree Trail, which is my other stop. I think they're right next to each other, maybe? Which is perfect. So 2 miles then, I guess, of driving this thing. Is this paved, or am I dreaming? Or was it paved at one point? It looked like some of it was paved. But if the road's gonna be like this, going back here, then it's pretty nice. I mean, it's kind of broken up, you can see, but compared to the usual stuff we do, this is butter. I feel compelled to keep the cameras rolling in these forests, because you should have seen some of the critters I was seeing in the deep in the mountains yesterday when I was traveling. All these wild turkey, and one thing, and I wasn't rolling the cameras, and I was really disappointed, but I didn't know turkeys would go up in the trees. There was one like halfway up a pine tree. Was I seeing something, or what was that? Like, I guess, why not? They're birds, they have wings, right? But you'd see them kind of running across the road, and then I saw a fox. Never have seen a live fox in my life, actually, now that I think about it, if I remember correctly. It's just, I was a first. And it was weird. It was in the middle of nowhere, so it didn't seem like a campground animal. You know, it seemed wild, and I pulled the truck over to say, I'm not going to be able to get a picture of it, and then it just stopped and it looked at me. I was able to get out of the truck. I was on the other side of the truck, pulled my phone out, took a picture, and then I was going to readjust my position, and I think taking a step forward was enough to make it go away. But it was just a really neat moment, like, you know, when you're hanging out with a member of the canines like that. It's just very smart, majestic creatures to me. And I like the way, like, some of them laugh when they, you know, if you ever seen videos of foxes on YouTube. If you haven't, you have a bad day. Go look at somebody rubbing the belly or scratching the chin of a fox and listen to the delight in their voice. And that'll convert you to being a fox lover, I think.
Turn right.
I will turn right when I can turn right. Here we go. I think we're right up on this thing now. If you can come back and explore back here, I would say this is a must-do. This is exceeding all expectations tenfold for me. The enjoyment factor of this morning.
In 1,000 feet, your destination will be on the left.
I'm just gonna keep on rolling in case we see that wild turkey up in a pine tree. And there are stumps galore. It's like, and they look old. Cut down in the 1800s old. And there's your little meadow right here. And there's a little pullout over there. A couple little pullouts so people can share and enjoy. But I'm trying to think of a good place.
Your destination is on the left.
Maybe for Slim to keep him out of view. So there's a little parking spot right here. So I can try to keep that view more pristine. I think that's how we're gonna do it. And we're still in the National Forest, so you know what that means. We're flying. A lot of bugs around here, mosquitoes and stuff. So let's see what this says. Difficulty is very easy. That is my speed this morning. Let me read this out loud. I'll narrate, and then Amy can do her magic. The General Noble tree was the name of the tree, was cut down to display at the World's Fair in Chicago in 1893. The Department of the Interior paid a local contractor $15,000 to fell the giant redwood, as they called the sequoia, and deliver it for display at the fair. The tree was portioned, shipped, and reassembled in Chicago for the exhibit. The stump now bears the name of the tree's final resting place. Many of the pine trees in the area are examples of a planting effort to reforest after the McGee Fire of 1955. So that is Really cool, that little history. We'll listen to some of the sounds of the forest together this morning. I don't think that's the Chicago stump, but it's a stump nonetheless. There's a squirrel in there. Yes, the Chicago stump. And when you know the story though, it makes it. It's the history of the story that really makes it. Let's first do an up close inspection of this thing. It's on very unlevel ground, so it's hard for me to maybe set this tripod up somewhere and show me for scale, but there's more interpretive signs too. This is a great little spot. Oh yeah, I can get the drone up here easy. We'll just keep it tight and we'll have this done. Dude, this, I'm not gonna take this, but like if someone wanted to play Wizards, I don't know what Wizards would be, but it looks like a wizard's pole or something, a wand. Actually a staff is what I meant. I cast Fire Resistance. I cast Giganticus Stumpus. Yeah, man. I'm digging this. I just need to find the skull of something in the forest to add to this. You even got these, you know, kind of doubles. You're like, pow, pow. All right, I shouldn't do this because that could turn into an internet meme way too fast. This is the perfect opportunity also to talk about how the heck did something cut down that long ago remain in such remarkably good condition? And I once read a fact about that I'm gonna share with you now. So I read that the sequoia wood has something called tannins in it. And I think don't the bristlecone pines have that too? Makes them really disease resistant. I can't tell you the science behind it exactly, other than the reason is something called tannins, making them more disease resistant, and it halts decomposition. So when you see trees, they have lots of fallen trees that they date back to the 1800s around here, and this stump is one of them. And I think it's actually interesting. I didn't know that, you know, people were starting to hear about this, written accounts, probably before any photographs were taken, and it probably sounded too fantastic, unbelievable, and there would have been arguments at holiday dinners about this. There's no trees like, you know. So, and then they had to chop one down and show the world that, yeah, there are. I don't know, for me, the weird thing is, you know, you saw me gawking at the General Sherman tree and all that, and it's magical. This, to me, that has that story behind it, is way more interesting for some really strange reason. Because in a way, it's sad. I don't know how old this tree was. Maybe it says, oh, 3,200 years old it was. It took about 18 men with outstretched arms to make a complete circle around it. I would say that should still hold true today. It's not so much the stump itself. I mean, that's impressive, but it's that human hands did this in generations ago now. The people that can't tell their stories anymore, and it's evidence that they existed. And I wonder, will this be here do you guys think this will be here 400 years from now? And if so, in what form? Will it be diminished? That'd be something interesting to study on that I haven't. All right, one last equipment check. Drone, camera bag, this camera. Nothing on the ground for my little base of operations. And it's time now for the next one where we should be able to fly a drone too. I think actually everything from here should be on this national forest land. Look at the size of this pine cone. Holy moly, there's my hand for scale. This is a weapon. Holy crap. We had a family member once back in the 70s or 80s bring home even a bigger one of these, and I assume that's like, I'm not gonna bring this. I assume that's scoffed upon. Although I do see quite a few of them, and I'm sure people take them, but I'm a proponent of letting other people enjoy the cool goods. You know, I left my deep woods off at home on accident. I went to the lodgepole market or whatever. I can't find anything, man. Oh, my hands are really sticky now. There's a lot of sap on that. Ugh. Anyway, that sucks. Sap is hard to get off sometimes. But what was I gonna say? I had a point and I already forgot it now because of the sap. And I'm a sap. I'm getting sap all over my gimbal now, but it is really probably not a good way to operate. But I wanted to show you these. Are these some kind of lupine? These are big. And these meadows have lots of wildflowers in them out here. It is absolutely spectacular. I don't know, this doesn't really qualify as a meadow. I guess maybe just a small clearing. Walking back to the car, but I wanted to share this with you. And I hope we get more opportunities like this. And one other observation, because you know I like pine smells of varying sorts, especially Ponderosa pine's my favorite, but this forest and the forest around here have a beautiful fragrance at times. A little more on the piney side, what you might think. And you catch these whiffs, these aromas, they're all wonderful. Maybe it's some of the flowers mixed in, I don't know. But it's like some kind of heaven down here. There's meadows and little ponds in the meadows. I think the next stop is a meadow, actually. I don't think that's our meadow, but probably gonna go back out the way I came since I'm not studied up on this area to be safe. Anyway, I'll see you guys at the next place. I'm very disappointed to say that the bug situation is just as bad as the last place. I don't know if you saw when I was filming my drone, I was like kicking my legs and stuff. I was getting stung and bit and I don't know what. My legs itch now. Isn't this heaven in here? If you look very closely too, there's, oh my gosh. If you look closely, I'm surrounded by purple butterflies. I think those are butterflies, not moths. What are you guys? You guys are like purple like the flowers. I swear I'm gonna start doing a public service and start bringing my hedge clippers anywhere I go. Off-roading, like places like this, just to be a good guy. I don't think they have snakes up in this area, do they? Like, they need to worry about. Well, here we go. What do we have here? Wow, this is really, like, interesting. More interesting than I thought. I think this is, the sign is basically saying what happened to the trees, and this is Converse Basin Grove and is the largest sequoia grove in the world. But some dude named Charles Porter Converse bought the basin in 1868. He was a man with big ideas and allowed several lumber companies to harvest this land. And then this grove was harvested over a period of 14 years. And then initially there was the King River Lumber Company that harvested a few of them. And in 1897, the company changed to the Sanger Lumber Company. They built a mill called the Converse Mill, and they began really extensive harvesting of sequoia trees. And this is the evidence of that right here. Apparently, all of this over harvesting of these trees made the water level, the water table rise on this land here in this meadow. I assume because there weren't trees sucking up all the moisture. And then after that, no sequoia can grow here ever again, apparently. Or maybe for a very, very long time. But maybe now I'm kind of filling out in my mind's eye, like our walk, I'm using the walk from this morning as maybe a guide for my mental exercise of trying to envision all of these stumps with these giant sequoia and how many there actually were. And they said this was like the largest grove. And now that I'm thinking about it, it's chock full. And it's not just on that side, it's over here also. I think it is a good example, perhaps, you know, to make a case of, man, whether it's, you know, it's not that it's ill-intentioned stuff, it was done with the best of intentions, but it's proof that man can have a permanent effect on things. And I don't understand why people just can't accept that. You know, it is what it is, right? So, and here's an evidence of a scenario, a situation, that has a scientific explanation as to why the trees can't grow, and it makes sense. You know what I mean? So if people could kind of apply that, use this as a model for bigger picture things, and I think we would have a better future. Leaving the stump meadow. I stayed here a long time. I think just the sound of the birds, not hearing any human noise whatsoever, no traffic, no highways, no voices, no nothing. Feeling isolated, witnessing the work of people from generations ago in one of my favorite times in history to kind of follow. The flowers. It just hit right. Now, the Boole tree, our final and maybe most spectacular thing that I've been looking forward to on this trip, and I'm assuming it's either up here or we're gonna just turn around and try to get a signal and just be smart. But I'm gonna be adventurous. Looks like there's a river up this ways, and see what lies ahead. If you're in a passenger car, I would not go any further past the meadow if you're gonna try this. All right, we're doing some proper off-road now, actually. But I have a feeling this is not the way to the Boole tree. So I'm kind of like, do I turn around, or we'll just go a little bit further. It's fun to drive through and see what we can find anyway. I know there was another sign back a ways too, with directions to some other things. So from your guys' perspective on the couch, we're gonna be there really soon. But you see all these continuing cut down sequoia, the stumps, even all throughout this drive. I don't know if there's another way to get to this Boole tree. Maybe I'll take a peek on the way out, but this is kind of rough going. For, I would say, a passenger vehicle. Oh yeah, I would say I'm gonna be able to get this done without four-wheel drive. So it's not a case of that. It's just, at this point, I think it is some little bit of clearance and some ruts. Anything's possible. All right. If it is over here, I suspect it's not too much further. It was weird. The sign said Boole, like the meadow is 2 miles. Well, let's just shut up because I found the dang thing, and there's a restroom here. And I wonder, was this seems to be the only way in. So I'm sorry if that seemed too adventurous for you to get up here, but if it is, that's why I'm here, to show you. Lots of parking, so I suspect a lot of people do venture out this way. It'd be a pity not to. All right, we're here at the Boole Tree Trail, and the special thing about this is we're gonna go see a gigantic sequoia tree on this 2.5 mile loop trail. And I may just opt to not do the loop to save time and just go 1 mile in and come back. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, the interesting thing here is that this is apparently the 6th largest tree in the world we're gonna see. And there's the answer to what I was saying didn't exist here. I was wrong. To me, it looks like I'm gonna save time if I go the 1 mile, so go right, and 1 mile back for a clean 2 miles, as opposed to, you're gonna go more than a mile going the top way. There's probably some awesome views, but I don't wanna give away all of that stuff yet, so let's do this thing. Yeah, I'm gonna opt to just go right. Probably go in and back. A clean mile in, clean mile back out. Then I'm clear on what's going on. I'll probably avoid views of Kings Canyon if I'm right there over there. Maybe I'll tease you with some drone footage when I get up here. And that's maybe the best thing here is we get to fly a drone. Assuming I deem it safe to do, and hopefully get some shots going up one of these trees. So remember, I was saying earlier, I was trying to find different ways to convey scale. So we'll try flying a drone. I don't think it's gonna show scale, but it'll show some detail we couldn't get otherwise. And you see these bugs? Holy crap, I'm getting swarmed. I'm out of here, dude. This trail is very overgrown. Not a fan. And it gets more overgrown the further back we go. This is turning out to be not fun. Where are my hedge clippers when I need them? And probably a long time since I've had to do a good tick check. I don't know if they have those here, they probably do. There is elevation to this hike. I'm trying to hightail it because I'm excited, but man. Well, I'm heading back now. Calling it actually an episode. I didn't make it to the bull tree. I started the film and walked up that way, and I kind of got wigged out. I went with some intuition on this one. And what that was I was walking through at times chest deep grasses. The trail was very overgrown, and I assume it's just because it's early on in the season and things are have more than come to life, and a lot of people haven't ventured back here yet. And I bet over the summer it'll be a nice trampled path, but there are logs and all these obstructions you kind of have to step blindly over. If I was ignorant and I didn't see the sign about the western diamondback rattlesnakes being in this area, I would have just very blissfully gone up there. But then I had that on my mind, and that scenario, every single step on that trail was exactly the scenario they tell you to avoid. Like, don't put your feet anything where you can't see, and it was the whole time. And I believe that statistically, statistics are very much on my side here, and it was very unlikely that anything could happen. However, it was a perfect formula based on how overgrown that trail is. And I was also kind of thinking about ticks, which I can deal with some ticks, but I did a tick check. I kind of got butt naked there in the parking lot. There's nobody there, but you know, I grew up in a place where we had a lot of that. I don't like that. I might like that less than scorpions and snakes. In fact, I'm still paranoid, but I didn't see anything. I'm like still checking myself. The fatal error I made on that one was not doing more extensive research and taking the word of a YouTuber. Not anybody's fault, but you know, basically somebody that probably went under more ideal circumstances, I assume, and portrayed it as a super easy thing. And I'm like, okay, so no research required, but it's a longer hike than I didn't even look it up. I was just kind of listening to what somebody said, and every time I do that, it's like if you want the job done right, you got to do it yourself sometimes. But it was all just about risk and time too, because it's like already 11 a.m. Half of my day's gone, and I'm saying this video is probably way too long anyway. So keeping it tidy. With that said, friends, I'm gonna end it here on my way back to whatever I'm doing next. One of the many things I got going on today. Thanks for joining us on this, what I thought was a very epic, exceeding expectations journey through history and wonder, scenic wonder. See you next week.